Greetings! On this week's episode, we celebrate! Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of balance. Woo! Oh my goodness gracious, it is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today. I know you could be anywhere in the world, doing anything. The fact that you are here with me today, it is an absolute pleasure and a joy. And I want to thank the people who, at the end of the last one, I invited you to, let me know, what did you think? And I appreciate everybody who responded. Your affirmations, they're fuel that keep me going, so I appreciate that. So you can either listen to this or watch this episode at tomearl.com/we celebrate. tomearl.com/we celebrate. You can listen as a podcast, watch it as a video, same content, different experience. As I have already alluded to, this episode is on celebrating. I got the Celebration Academy, and I'm trying to find things every day I'm celebrating, but also, this whole month has been the month of Ramadan, a month of fasting, which is why 2 episodes ago, we talked about 5 things to fast from. Well, we want to balance it out in the year of balance and make sure that we are not only fasting, but celebrating. In about 2 to 3 days, or if you're listening to this later, but 2 or 3 days after this is released, will be the end of Ramadan, will be what we call Eid. It's a time of celebration, and we went from 30 days of fasting to having a good time with family and being thankful and with friends. And so us too, not only do we want to focus on those 5 things that we're going to fast from, but this episode we're going to talk about 5 things I want you to consider celebrating. Before we get into that, as I talked about, we want to always raise our energy when we learn something. Because if you're in a positive emotional energy state, when you're listening, when you're learning from something, if you're interacting by responding when I ask a question or doing something with your body's going to tell you, it's going to align that, hey, it felt really good while I was learning this new concept. So when you go to apply it, your body will remember how it felt good and will apply it. That's why if you hate a class, like let's say you dislike math or English or science, if the whole time you're in class, you're like, oh, this sucks, and your teacher's not making it any easier, when you go home to try to practice or do your homework, those same feelings are going to come up, right? That's why if you've ever tried something, you're like, this is a really good idea, but in the moment of learning it, you didn't get yourself excited. When you go to apply it, you're just not going to have the motivation because your body doesn't remember how good it felt. So let's get our energy level up. So here's what we're going to do. If you could breathe in with me, and when you breathe in, just stretch your body. Stretch it whatever way you're able to. Okay? Ready? Breathe in and release. Breathe in and release. And here's what I'd like you to do. Just put your hand over your heart. If you're driving, just feel your heartbeat and close your eyes. Obviously, if you're driving, please do not close your eyes. But if you're cleaning the house or multitasking while you're listening, just take these first 2 minutes to just pause and get centered in your heart, and then you can go back to multitasking while you listen, okay? So just pause. Put your hand over your heart or feel your heart beating and just be grateful for your heart. Your heart beats every single day without you asking it to. You don't have to do anything for it to beat, but be alive. It's a miracle. All of the pumping and pushing of blood through your body to keep you alive. And just feel centered. Just feel grateful that you are alive. There's so much going on in the world. There's so much every day we go through that just pausing for a sec and being grateful that you can breathe. Grateful for our ozone layer that protects us. Grateful that you have access to clean drinking water. Grateful that you have fingernails that protect the soft part of your skin. Grateful that if you ever get a cut on your hand, it heals almost magically. Grateful that when you eat something, without really doing anything, your body just digests your food for you. Grateful that you have a friend out there, maybe even a best friend. And before they entered your life, you didn't have to do anything to raise them. You didn't have to write any books that they had to read on how to be your best friend. They just entered your life and were already there for you. Or the roads you drive on. I didn't create those roads. I didn't pave them, and yet every single day I benefit from them. And we could go on and on and on. There are so many things like this to be grateful for that are hidden in plain sight, that when we just stop to notice them, they are amazing. And so any ones I miss, just think of one thing you're grateful for that I miss. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. One more time. And out. And one more time, stretch your body and shake it out. Do a little dance. Do a little dance. I hope you're dancing. I'm dancing. And we are good. How long did that take? 3 minutes at the most, 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, we were able to get centered, get appreciated, connect with our hearts, dance a little, and we are back. So, the dancing, it got us in the right place, because today we're going to talk about 5 things I want to encourage you to celebrate on a regular basis. Whether this is once a day before you go to bed, once a week, once a month, once a year. I have a ritual for each one of those things that I do. Once a day, once a month, once a week, once a year. I have a ritual for each one of those where I celebrate these things. So here's the first thing that I want to encourage you to find a ritual for celebrating, and that is your accomplishments. Celebrating your accomplishments. The thing is that often what happens is we accomplish something and we work hard towards it. Maybe it was a goal that took you weeks, months, years, that you built up to this moment. You accomplish it, it feels great, and almost as soon as you're done, we have subconsciously reset the bar. So let's say you want to graduate from high school. You graduate, it took you 18 years, you graduate, you're hanging out, boom, we already set the bar that it needs to be college though. So you go to college, you graduate, you're feeling good, a lot of people just graduated college, you're celebrating and somebody at the party says, what are you going to do next? And you went from feeling awesome about your accomplishment to potentially feeling, oh my God, what am I going to do next? And forgotten is all the hard work and the celebration, and we've already reset the bar that I'm not really doing anything, or I ain't S-H-I-T, I ain't that. And, I need to go out there all over again and accomplish something. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever had a time where you were working so hard towards something and before you even accomplished it, before you even wiped the sweat from your brow, you already set a new series of goals? It's amazing to do that because it keeps us moving. But if we don't pause and celebrate our accomplishments, we're not going to have fuel to keep going. And the thing is that we just don't remember. We don't remember our accomplishments. And those times where we start to feel like, I'm just not doing anything. Or, in the last two episodes ago when I talked about fasting from comparison, we start comparing ourselves to other people. And we start feeling like we didn't do anything, or how could I ever get there? When we've all have accomplishments. It was a crazy experience for me is I was filing my taxes this year. And I was going through my gas mileage. I was figuring out where all the places I drove for my business. And I looked, and last February, I saw, what was this? Oh, I drove to Marianne Williamson's event, and Marianne Williamson herself introduced me, said very kind words about me, and then while she was on stage with me, I got to perform a poem with her standing there to her audience. How amazing is that? And you know what's crazy? That moment meant so much to me, and yet I had forgotten about it temporarily. I'd forgotten how much work I put to be ready for that, how excited I was, how grateful I was, how thankful I was, how amazing it was. I had forgotten about that. And I bet we all have triumphs in our lives we have forgotten about. And so taking time to celebrate them, taking time to remember them, to going over mentally, what are my accomplishments today, this week, this month, this year, reminding ourselves feels absolutely amazing. Celebrating them, do your thing. Next, I want you to celebrate affirmations. I have this poem called My Insecurities. And in it, I have this line where I say, just pay me a compliment and watch my negative reaction. I'll put in the link, the show notes, where you can check out that poem. But how many people, when somebody compliments us, we start to say, no, it's nothing. And we really make them work for that compliment. You really got to work hard to compliment me. Or has that ever happened for you when you go to compliment somebody, you give them an affirmation, and you're so excited, oh my gosh, that was so amazing, you saved me, thank you so much. And they're like, no, don't thank me. And you're like, please, just let me thank you. We need to get out of that habit, We need to get out of that habit of making people work hard to affirm us. We need to accept those affirmations, because why rob somebody of that opportunity to experience the joy of paying somebody an affirmation? We need to stop robbing our friends and family of that opportunity and what's the word? And instead, there's the word, and instead accept the affirmation. Not only accept it, but celebrate it. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah. No, you're right. I did do a good job, didn't I? Watch how the whole situation transforms. Instead of making people work for it, celebrating. Where maybe you just did something nice for somebody and they're like, thank you so much. You're like, you're welcome. No, I was really excited. I'm really glad. Yeah. No, it was fun. Yeah. Like that. You're going to change the whole energy of the dynamic, the whole energy of the situation. Plus, it's fun. And so much of it comes from, again, I keep coming back to fasting and celebrating. They go hand in hand. Is that self-doubt of, I'm not good enough, or, trying to be small, or as Brene Brown says, engineering smallness, or no, it couldn't be me. But instead, sometimes you just gotta be big, you gotta be bold, you gotta say, you're right, I did accomplish this, and thank you, I am amazing, yeah! So, what I like to do is I like to keep an affirmation journal. Is when somebody says something nice to me, I like to write it down. And what's interesting is I had an old computer that somehow I plugged in and it turned on. And I found an old journal from 4 years ago. And I was reading through the journal and I found an affirmation I had kept from one of my friends. And it was right after I met that friend. It's a friend who we're great friends now. And it was, we met in person, and then they followed up by email. And I had saved the email in my journal of the nice words they said. And it was so great to just come back after 4 years, after all we've been through as friends, and see how it started with me receiving her affirmation in a gracious way. And from that, we became friends. So consider that. Celebrate your affirmations. This next one, I couldn't go without saying this. Gratitudes. Celebrating our gratitudes. Every single day I encourage people to think of 3 things you are grateful for. In fact, I had the amazing honor to give a TEDx talk on the awesome power of gratitudes. And in that, I outlined the amazing benefits of every day thinking of things that you are grateful for, especially when it comes to celebration. Gratitudes are great because no matter what happens in your day, no matter what external circumstances, no matter what outside events, you get to decide what is your day, what is your life, what is this moment. You get to decide, what does this mean? And that decision of what does this mean makes all the difference. Does it mean that life is happening to you or for you? Does it mean that, challenges come at you because you deserve them because you're a bad person or it's karma? Or is it that challenges come your way because they allow you to grow? When somebody says something to you, what does it mean? Does it mean that they hate you, that they think you're stupid and you should therefore get mad? Or Maybe there was a misunderstanding and you should clarify. And gratitudes train your mind to do that by deciding, you know what? Today was a challenge, or you know what? Today was this, but I'm going to think of 3 things I'm grateful for, and I'm going to celebrate those gratitudes. And they could be things we started off with when we did the heart meditation. I'm grateful I have fingernails. I'm grateful that I can breathe. I'm grateful that I can move my arm. I'm grateful that I can blink as my always go-to. You know, they can be really simple things like that, or awesome things. Like, I'm grateful that I woke up in a house with people I love. Or I'm grateful that, you know, that I have a car, or whatever you'd like, okay? So celebrate your gratitudes. Awesome. We are about halfway through this. And so what I want you to do is, if you're sitting down, I want you to reach down, and I want you to pretend like you just pick something up that's a treasure. So reach down, grab something, pick it up, it's a treasure, and just look at it like, wow, this is amazing. This is an amazing treasure. And I want you to imagine that inside that treasure, it's a word written down about how awesome you are. And I want you to imagine, what is the affirmation that treasure is giving you? Look at it and see, what word does it say? Mine says, you're really an awesome person. I guess that was more than one word. So what word or phrase? Imagine, take that treasure, set it on the table, or set it before you, and I want you to just think about that, the affirmation that it gives you. Next thing we're going to celebrate is our failures. We're going to celebrate our failures. Hashtag plot twist. Did you see that one coming? We need to get a really healthy relationship with our failure and with failure. So if you heard of the Spanx founder, her name is Sarah Blakely. So there's a great video, it went viral, which is awesome. It's great when positive things go viral. Or you can check out interviews or her new book. She talks about this. So Sarah Blakely, she's the founder of Spanx. She's one of the few entrepreneur women in the world whose business has gone to the $1 billion level. So she founded a business, went to the $1 billion level. She founded it with just bootstraps. I mean, she ran it out of her apartment, and her story's amazing. You should check it out. So she talked about how every night around the dinner table, her dad would have everybody say as a ritual, what was one thing you failed at today? And then the kids would say it, and they would celebrate. They'd be like, yeah, you rock, you rock. And so what happened? They started to associate, rather that instead of failure means that you're a failure, they learned that failure means you're trying. Failure means that you learned something. Failure means that you'll get it the next time around. Failure means that you are one step closer to your success. Failure means that unless you're failing, you're not trying. That's what they learned failure is. And so you wonder how somebody then could start a business that became 5 billion, billions of dollars. And just, outside of the monetary thing, that you start a business that helps people. And so for us, how often has the fear of failure held you back? How often have you wanted to go something, but you envisioned the catastrophe of what would happen if you failed, and so you didn't go for it? Maybe you envisioned that people would laugh at you, or maybe you envisioned that you would feel rejected. Because we don't celebrate our failures, we fear them. Instead, laugh at your failure with joy. Hey, I gave that a shot. I failed miserably. But you know what? I went for it. But you know what? I'll know better next time. But you know what? If I didn't fail now, would have had to fail some other time. So I'm glad I did. It was awesome. I'm glad I went for it, So find a healthy relationship with your failure. And I'm not saying don't try to succeed, but go for it. And when it doesn't work out the way you thought, have a resilient state of mind. And Free Arts, which is the nonprofit that I'm the director of, we teach those type of skills, the healthy relationship with failure, resiliency, all that kind of stuff. We teach it through creating art to young people who've been in some really difficult circumstances, young people who've experienced abuse, neglect, or have been removed from their homes. And so, we're teaching them different ways to view life through creating art. And often what happens, almost always, is you'll give a young person a piece of paper, and this happens for adults, but I'm specifically talking about young people, And a young person will draw something and inevitably they'll mess up. The picture they're drawing doesn't look like what they wanted it to. So they'll crumple it up and give it to me and say, I messed up, can I start over? And I'm like, nope. Because we teach process over product. That the process is as important, if not more important, than the product. And so we teach the young people, instead of looking at that as a failure, what if we ask the question, what else could this mean? How else could I use this? So this thing over here that I scribbled out, could that scribble out become something else? How could you incorporate your failure into your success? And so the young person looks and then they figure out, okay, I'll use it as the person's hair. And then they draw, and what they were about to crumple and throw in the way in the garbage can turned to this big masterpiece that they're proud of. And that's us. When we, instead of saying I failed and therefore it's the end of the story, saying I failed and therefore it's the foundation of my success, celebrating it, I'm telling you, it's a game changer, folks. Next, celebrate what brings you joy. Ooh. You know, joy is interesting in that joy is like jazz. In jazz, you have a melody. And the awesomest jazz player, the best jazz player, can play that melody in a way that is unique to who they are. You know, you're never going to hear a jazz song played the same way because there's always improv and interpretation. And the same artist this week might play the jazz song completely different tomorrow or 10 seconds later. And so the same is true for joy. I can't tell you what's going to make you joyful. I can't tell you what's going to make you fulfilled. I can tell you some things that might, prevent you from feeling joyful or prevent you from feeling fulfillment. But in the end, you got to decide what brings you joy. For instance, some people, what brings them joy is living in an apartment downtown. They want to be able to walk everywhere. They like the hustle and bustle and the noise. For some people, joy to them is a cabin in a woods where nobody's around for miles and miles and miles. Some people, that sounds scary, right? So for all of us, we have our own interpretation and we have our own experience of what is joy. But what we do share in common is that you have to go out and find it. You have to discover and answer the question, what brings you joy? Because success, achievement, all of that, without joy is going to feel terrible. Have you ever had something where you went for it and you got it and you felt miserable because you thought it would be the answer to what'll bring you happiness, but it wasn't? I mean, we just talked about getting a healthy relationship with failure. So when you celebrate your failures, that's fine. You're going for it, you fail, hey, I can keep going. But what happens when you achieve what you're after and you don't feel happy? That sucks. Because then it feels like you have nowhere else to go. Well, I achieved everything I thought I was supposed to and I still don't feel joy. What is wrong? Then instead of saying what is wrong with what I'm doing, we start to say what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? I thought all I had to do was achieve this thing and I did and I still feel miserable. What is wrong with me? Has that ever happened? I've been there. Gone after something super hard, I got there. That's where my year of balance came from. I realized I was the to-do list destroyer. That was me. You give me a to-do list, I'm going to destroy that to-do list. And I found that to-do lists, completing them, I still didn't feel joyful. And so I had to ask myself, what does a joyful life look like? And how can I incorporate that into the process of my achievement? So that I make sure along the way I'm doing what brings me joy so that when I achieve, I am already feeling joy. That my joy isn't in relationship or isn't dependent upon external circumstances. It's dependent upon my inside. So figuring that out, and you figure that out by experimenting, by finding things, trying new things. Whims are a great way to figure out what gives you joy. If you get a whim that says, I should learn how to, I've always wanted to sing. Go for it. There is somebody out there, I bet you could pay 10, 15, 20 bucks. I don't know. You could figure it out. Or you could do it for free on YouTube and just start singing. And you know what? Maybe you'll never be a professional singer, but because you learned how to sing, it gave you joy. And that joy aided you in whatever it is your passion is in life. You never know how things connect, but I can tell you, when you celebrate joy, it radiates throughout all of your life in every aspect. So celebrate your joy. Once you find some things that bring you joy, celebrate them and go for them and share them with people. Invite people to partake in them, because you might just introduce somebody to something that's going to bring them joy that they didn't know about. And accept others people's invitation to partake in things that bring them joy, because it might bring you joy. I mean, for me, using the word partake, I've never done that before. That was kind of fun. I like it. Using new words brings me joy. So one thing that brings me joy is reading. So I never go a day without reading. I make sure every night before I go to bed, I make sure I read at least for 15 minutes. And so for you, what is something that brings you joy that you want to celebrate? And making sure that you have little rituals of joy in your day, in your week, in your month, in your year. Find little rituals and times where you block it out that I'm going to celebrate my joy. Yes, I am pumped up. This is a fun episode. We're talking about joy. We're getting crazy. We found some treasure on the ground back there that had an affirmation. I don't know where that came from, but that was crazy. I'm going to look for treasure with my affirmation on it all the time. That was great. Okay, I'm going to leave you with one last tip. It says write it down. Write it down. My friends, I want to tell you a story. I went to England last year. It was awesome. Except the next morning, the morning after I woke up, for the first time in my life, I had terrible jet lag. I had such bad jet lag that I couldn't even get out of bed. I got out of bed and Adora was like, let's go. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And so she tested it out. She said, well, you know, we're going to an all-you-can-eat buffet, and I couldn't even get the energy for that. So she knew that this was serious. If I couldn't get an all-you-can-eat buffet, she knew this is serious. So I spent the whole day, like 24 hours in bed. And I'm telling you this because what happened is I read all of the books I brought on this 18-day vacation. I read them all on that first day because I was in bed all day. So I had no books for this 18-day vacation. We were going to be taking a lot of trains and buses, so I needed some things to read to pass the time in a joyful way. Plus it's vacation, and reading brings me joy. I want to celebrate it. So we were staying at a friend's house, and the only bookshelf they had was a bookshelf for their kids. So I thought, well, what kids book can I read that'll last? And so I saw that they had the Harry Potter collection. And I was like, awesome. I'll read the Harry Potter collection. So I didn't start at the beginning. I think I started at book 6 because I was like, I don't want to read the one with the crazy teacher. I forgot her name. The one that always wears pink, looks like a toad. I forgot her name, but I didn't want to read that one because that one just always upsets me. So I read the one right after that. I think it was, it doesn't matter. So I grabbed that book and I started to read it, and I just got totally sucked into it. And I was like on the edge of my seat, and Adora would be like, hey, let's go out. And I'd be like, I want to keep reading. And she'd say, you've read these books before. You know what's going to happen, but you're so engaged. What the heck? And you know what, my friends? The lesson of the story is we forget. We think we are going to remember, but we forget. Even if it was one of the most emotionally exciting moments, even if it was something as awesome as the first time you read Harry Potter, you're going to forget the plot. You're going to forget what happened. So when you accomplish something, when you have a gratitude, when somebody gives you a great affirmation, all these different things, even if it was the most exciting thing in your life, you're going to forget. And then when you forget, and your back's up against the wall, you're having a tough day, or you're trying really hard to have a good relationship with failure, you're going to forget all those times where things went awesome. And so I want to invite you to have some sort of practice around writing down the things you're celebrating. For me, every day before I go to bed, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, or I write down 3 accomplishments that happened in that day. You know, or if I forget that night while I'm waiting at the bus stop, or in the morning while I'm hanging out, going to the bathroom, I write down my 3 gratitudes or my 3 affirmations. And it helps because you go back and look, just like, remember I said I found that journal from 4 years ago, and I looked and I saw that I wrote, hey, I'm thinking of starting a website. Oh, hey, I found a place I'm going to start my website. And I was like, wow, the journey I've been on, where 4 years ago I was trying to figure out how to build a website, to now I not only built the website, but I was able to create an online school online of like the crazy journeys we're on. And when we remind ourselves of our accomplishments, when we remind ourselves of the affirmations people gave us, when we look back and see the journey we've been on, it gives us solace. It gives us reassurance that, you know what? You are amazing and keep going because you got this. So I want to encourage you, figure out some sort of routine around writing down your accomplishments, your gratitudes, or your affirmations. Maybe it's once a month you write down all the things you can remember that month. Maybe it's once a week you write things down, or if you can, once a day. My friends, I hope you give some of these things a shot, because as you can see, just talking about them gets me excited. And it gets me excited because I know if you give them a shot, it'll work. You work the plan, you plan the work, that whole thing. So it's been a joy hanging out with you here today. I love doing this. I love being with you. And I love knowing what you think. So shoot me a little message, or, snap me, or Instagram, whatever, email. Let me know, what did you think of this episode? Feedback's always appreciated. And you already know, when you give me an affirmation, I record it and I look back years later and remember what you said. So you can do that. Tom@tomearl.com is my email. Or all of my social media is @TomEarlArtist. My friends, this has been an absolute pleasure and a joy. And I am wishing you peace and blessings. Greetings, Tom Earl here. I hope you enjoyed that episode of The Celebration. I wanted to touch base because a lot of people have been having some amazing questions about the Celebration Academy. And so I wanted to give you a back-end perspective, or a back-end insider's view of what is the Celebration. So the Celebration is an individualized learning platform where you get your own learning profile, and it has all of your lessons, your videos, your handouts, the MP3 downloads, everything you need right here on your own learning platform that you log into. And it's a 6-week course that, just like the podcast, it's a place for leadership, inclusion, and expression, where we live as the best version of ourselves. Except with this, it takes a step-by-step systemic approach that builds upon each week so that you connect with your gifts and your purpose while taking your leadership, your expression, your communication, and your relationships to the highest level of the best version of yourselves. It's a great program. As you can see, each week has 2 lessons. And they're in great sizes, 15 minutes each lesson, so that you can complete one lesson on the way to work and complete the other one on the way home from work, or however you'd like to break this down. So you can just go click right in. Here's your video. It's great. You can download the MP3, all your handouts. You can have comments here where your classmates or I can respond. It's great. And if you sign up right now, you're going to see right here that I include the achievement roadmap right there for you. At the same time, if you sign up right now, you get a one-on-one coaching session with me, which is going to be great. In addition, you get added to Leadership Makes Impact, which is a membership program where you get a free training every single month. So you can check that out all right here, tomearl.com/courses. Right there, you can enroll today. And if you'd like, we have a program called the Achievement Roadmap. It's a free 3-part course. Connects you with the tools, mindsets, and practice for stress-free time management and high-impact goal setting. So if you'd like, you can sign up for that for free just by going to tomearl.com/courses. Sign up for free right here, and then create your own unique, individualized user profile. Just enter your name, your email address, create a password, hit sign up for free, and you are in. Once you're in, it looks like this. And you have awesome stuff right here. Welcome each class, and you can download each one as an MP3 if you want to listen to it on the go. So I hope you consider doing that. And for all my artists out there, consider joining Art Makes Impact. It's a $10 a month membership program where you get access to all of the live and online writing workshops that I have done this year.
And at the same time, I do exclusive writing workshops for Art Makes Impact members. We have a great time during that. We'd love to have you join us. It's $10 a month. We have a great time, and you can also download all these as MP3s, have comments. All of that can be found at tommerl.com/courses. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you consider joining us. Sign up for free for the Achievement Roadmap and give us a test run. You won't be disappointed. As always, my friends, I'll see you next week, and I'm wishing you peace and blessings.